Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. In this video today, we're going to talk about ridge lines, and I'm going to show you the way I used to do it, and I'm going to show you something that I learned kind of a few years ago, and then I'm also going to show you something that I learned very recently that is going to blow your mind. Okay, so the way that I used to connect this to the tree is I would start with my rope and I would tie a cowboy bowline. So I would make a loop like this. I'd come around, go through the hole, go underneath the standing end, and I would go back out of the hole. This makes a cowboy bowline. I really like this knot because it puts the tail on the outside. So that's what it looks like. It works very good. And what I used to do is I used to come around the tree just like this, and I would feed all of my line through. As you can see, this is kind of time consuming, but this is the way I used to do it years ago. And it was really effective because at the end you had a really nice solid contact point. It was very good. It was very solid, very effective. Two downsides though was the first one that I just showed, it took a lot of time and there was no quick release option. So to undo it, you had to pull all of this line through, and it was just kind of a cumbersome process to put it up and to take it down. So a few years ago, I learned a new option, and that's using a variation of the Marlin spike hitch. So that's where you take a toggle, which could be a piece of wood, or it could be a stick, it could be a tent pole, anything like that. So you put your bowline around the tree, and then instead of running all of the line through, you just run a bite through. Then you take your stick or your tent stake and you put that right there. And then as you pull this away and push this towards the tree, you establish a very nice tight contact point that's really, really effective. Now, the cool thing about this Marlin spike hitch variation is when you're all finished and you want to take it down, you just loosen the stuff out, take the stick out, and everything falls apart very easily. So on this end of the operation, I always like using this technique, the Marlin spike hitch variation. It's very secure, very fast, easy to deploy, and easy to take down when you're finished. And it's very strong. I've used all kinds of things for this object. I've used sticks like you see here. I've used stones, like rocks. I've used tent stakes, and it works very well. So now let's go over to the other side, and I'll show you the way I used to do it over there, and then I'll show you something that I learned a while back, and then I'll show you something I learned very recently that's going to blow your mind. Let's go to the other end. Okay, here we are on the other end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all my paracord and I'm going to wrap it around the tree, and loosening this ridge line a little bit. What I used to do is I would make like a little twist here. So I'd make like this little loop. I would fold the loop down on the ridge line, and I would pull a bite out of the ridge line towards the object that I'm going to secure to. And the way I used to do it is I would feed all of my line, all my standing cordage through here, just like this, and it gave me a leverage point. So I could pull this lever towards the tree, get the ridge line as tight as I wanted, and then when I had it where I wanted to secure it, I would simply pinch this, I would put a bite over this, and then I'd reach through. I'd set that bite over, Then I'd reach through with my index finger and my thumb, and I would pull the standing end until I pulled it towards this slip knot, and then that would keep it secure. Cool thing about this trucker's hitch option is it was a quick release. So when I was done, I just pulled the standing end, pull all this out, and then I would have to take out this slip knot. Now, depending on how tight I made my ridge line would depend on how hard I had to pull this to get rid of that slip knot. So if I had a really super tight ridge line, sometimes I had to pull really hard against a fixed object to pop out that slip knot. This is just a loop. This is number 36 bank line. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking this and I'm putting it around this ridge line. So I'm going to make 3 passes around there. So there's one, that's a lark's foot or a lark's head. And then I'll go a second time. It's hard to do this here. There's number 2. And then I'll go a third time. Now I can dress all this up. I can clean this all up and have a very effective prusik knot. If you haven't seen my knot playlist, I show how to make this prusik in better detail. So I'm just going to dress this up and get it all clean, get everything lined up real nice. The cool thing about the prusik is I can adjust it anywhere I want on this ridge line, and I can pull against it and it won't slip. So this is nice if you have wet cordage or something like that. It's a friction and you don't wear out that same spot on the cordage every time you pop out that slip knot. You don't do that. You're not damaging the cordage. So what I would do is I would come around the tree and I would come through this prusik with everything instead of making a slip knot. Now I can pull back against the prusik towards the tree to cinch everything up, to tighten it all up, and the only friction point that we're dealing with is on the prusik itself, which is a lot easier to replace and a lot less expensive than replacing my whole ridge line of 50 feet or 100 feet, whatever it is. So from here, when I got this thing tight enough, I would do the same exact thing as before. I would pinch that, reach through, pull a bite, and snap it towards the prusik, and it held the ridge line very, very good. It was a very effective thing, and it was also a very nice quick release. So I would pull this standing end, and I still had to undo this from the prusik. Now there's another option here, because I was concerned about friction tearing up my prusik. So what I did was I added a carabiner. So if you have a carabiner, you can add that to the situation. Now you can use the carabiner to pull against, so you're not putting any friction on this prusik knot. And everything works the same. We've just added a carabiner instead of going cordage against cordage. We're cordage against carabiner. So we pinch, go through, pull towards, we're done. What's this guy doing over here? Oh, softball practice. So that's the new option that I've learned. Now there is a third option that is super cool. So when you release this, you still have to undo all of this cordage from here. So this next technique that I'm going to show you is brand new to me. I'm not taking any ownership of the technique. I found out about it through Dave Canterbury, home of the Pathfinder school, Self-Reliance Outfitters. So let's go ahead and take a look at this new technique. I think you guys are really going to like this. It's awesome. So what I've learned recently, and this is the one that I say is probably going to blow you away. That's where you take your prusik here, whether you're using a carabiner or not, and instead of passing all of your cordage through here, you're only passing a bite through. So now you take the bite, you go towards the tree with the whole bite. You get it as tight as you want. And then as this loop gets larger, you just kind of hold this, and you want to minimize the size of that loop, so you pull down on the standing end. And then when you get this loop kind of small, you can pinch all this together, reach through this bite, find the standing end, and pull a bite through, and then tighten this all up. Now you can see that we're using the Prusik, and we have a quick release option still. Works very good. Now when you want to undo this, you just pull the standing end, and when you get right here, right before the point where it releases, watch what happens when you release. Everything falls apart. It's gone. So this gives you a quick release that you don't have to run all your cordage through. And because you're not using a slip knot like we did before in the past, and snapping and popping that slip knot out of the cordage all the time, especially if you have a really tight ridge line, you're going to be doing the same spot on this over and over and over, and it's going to wear out your ridge line. So by using a Prusik, we minimize that. We get rid of that. We're not putting any unnecessary stress on the ridge line itself. We've taken that out. And when we finish, we don't have to pass the cordage, the whole 100 feet of cordage through here anymore. We just pass that bite through, make a quick release, and it's super easy. So let's take a look at that one more time. I'm going to pull the camera a little bit closer. We're going to look at this very close. So here, I've got my Prusik right here. I'm going to come through here, put a bite through the Prusik. I'm going to pull that bite towards the tree, minimize the size of this loop here, right there. Get this nice and small, and you don't have to have a lot of tension on this. Bite that with your fingers, and then reach through, pull a bite, and then pull that towards the tree. That locks it all into place, and you're good to go. It's a very simple setup. When you're finished, you pull this out, and it disappears. Let's see, let's get that. Boom, done. It's a wrap. Easy release, easy peasy. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to leave a comments down below. Like this video, share this video. And until next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.